Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
All right, everybody, it is that time of year again. It's time for you to get out and nominate for your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Centralist in the category of politics and news. The Centralist is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Centralist in the category of politics and news. And that's podcastawards.com. Take a moment, go and vote, and as Joe would say, come on guys, vote, vote, get out there, vote. What you waiting for? It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm, and that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community, in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take... It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. This show brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. So go to podcastawards.com and nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com. So take a moment, get out and vote. Yes, it's that time of year again. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. So there's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. You've been hearing it for years now. It's the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. So the show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step. So go to podcastawards.com and nominate the Writers and Illustrators of Future podcast in all 3 categories. That was education, storyteller drama, and art. And that's podcastawards.com. So take a moment and get your votes in.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was Louisiana. Billy and a man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Works with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFO. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
All right, everybody, it's time to vote, vote, vote. Get out there and nominate your favorite podcasts. The People's Choice Podcast Awards voting is up on the 31st of July, so go to podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in the categories of education and also storyteller drama. The Centralist in the category of politics and news. That's with show host Joe Montaldo. Science and Beyond in the category of science and medicine, also with show host Joe Montaldo. The Outer Realm in the category of society culture, with show hosts Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. And the Pittsburgh Paranormal Chasing Prophecy in the category of religion and spirituality. There's another category that opened up for us recently, the People's Choice, so please select for this category as well. Go to podcastawards.com to vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcastawards.com. And remember, voting ends July 31st, so go ahead and get your votes in.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Felt like it took forever to get here, man. Like all these promos, all this stuff, podcast awards. Get your ass out there and vote, 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 vote. As my good friend Emily Goodwin just said, get your ass out there and vote. Amelia, that goes for you too. Get your ass out there and vote. Michelle, get your ass out there and vote. Y'all need to get out there and vote like 5 times each. Look, people, unless y'all want me to be cranky all next year, you better get out there and vote. Oh, yeah. Larry Elmore was supposed to be our guest, and I'm not sure what happened to him. Larry's a great guy. We had a great time at Writers of the Illustrators of the Future. I know I got a couple emails the other day when I'm getting back to ufology. I'm actually doing ufology. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight since we don't have a guest. But this is something I've been doing. I want to give these guys, okay, usually I bring them on Science and Beyond or on the Centrals, and their audience isn't as big as this show's audiences. This show's almost 25 years old. Average audience is anywhere from 2.5 million to 4 million, depending on what we're talking about. So I wanted to give, especially the winners, a little bit bigger exposure than they would get, first out of the box like that. Now, there's some good ones out there like Desmond. I've seen he's out at Barnes and Nobles today signing books. Desmond Attire, yeah, he's got a great book out. Y'all should check him out. He was also a great interview and a lot of fun to talk to. So give him a dial up and just check him out and see who he is. These are the illustrators of the future, but more importantly, these guys are what's going to give us the new games in the future, the new movies in the near future, the new Avatar in the future. These are the kind of things that they're going to produce for us, and all these writers are going to be the ones writing these stories. And I'm just pleased to meet them. I've got 3 years under my belt now with the writers, so I have met 36 writers and 36 illustrators. More than half of them, about 2/3 of them now, are in serious careers, which is quite impressive. The Writers of the Future actually is a good get you in the door when you're a winner, especially if you're a grand prize winner. I mean, A lot of people turn in stuff for to get into writers and illustrators of the future, and they can only take 12 and 12. Well, plus a couple honorable mentions. I think it's one. Sorry, guys, coffee. I've been running like a madman all day. I think it's only one or two, but go over there and check it out. Become part of it. Get involved. Yes, I know, Billy. That was ridiculously how long that took. Plus, there was gaps and like 30 seconds of silence and shit. Yeah, I don't know what all that was about. First test run out. All the hosts will be doing it now, so I got to get on them. And I was just playing around with it tonight to see how the system was doing. So it's always something. Oh, wait, here, real quick. Here he is right here. This is his website. It's Larry Elmore. It's just real easy. It's his name. It's .com, I believe. So you can go. I keep smelling wax burn. Like, what the hell? But anyway, so Larry's supposed to be the guest tonight, Will. So I'll be changing titles later on tonight as whatever that show is that comes on after me. What is it? Chasing Prophecy. Oh, no, wait. That's Tuesday. Is it The Senseless? No. I don't know who the hell comes on after me. Y'all know? I don't think I remember. I'll have to wait around and see who it is. I don't know. Some strange show that got in behind me. He must have got lucky. We have a good sponsor, one or the other. I just don't let anybody in behind me. But sooner or later, I'll remember that show that comes on after me. I know it's got two hosts. Yeah, who? I don't know who they are. How am I supposed to know that? I just work here. I don't know everything. Again, no, I apologize, Chris. Larry's supposed to be on with us. I don't know what happened. I will get with Carmen, and Carmen will get Carmen's media operations over there, so media relations over there, so he'll find out for me. Nah, these days, actually, whoever texted, I didn't see that. Hold on, let me go back. Messenger, hold on, shit. Come here, Messenger. I am actually looking for someone to do guest acquisitions for the show because I'm too busy. Oh no, I'm way too busy. Right now, it's stupidly busy, and this is an early show on Wednesday, so I got to be home for 6. And I'm usually in New Orleans on Wednesday. It means I got to drive through all the traffic to get back here. It's crazy, but anyway, getting to some more fun topics and not just insane topics. A lot of stuff been going on. We've been getting a lot more research into blood type study. I just did Coast to Coast a couple of weeks ago. We had a decent turnout from Coast. Coast is a weird beast. Sometimes I get much larger turnouts than others. This was like in medium the road. George is always a pleasure to talk to as usual. Who will I be going? Probably. When I had talked with the lady over here, I'm not going to mention her name, but if you've been a guest on, you know who she is. If not, don't worry about it. But anyway, I told him when I'm getting ready to release the human, reptilian, and gray reports. And so we're going to put these out pretty soon, probably within a month or two. So once they go out, I'll call Coast and go on. I am working on a book called Incident at Gulf Breeze, but I don't know, guys. While I was in LA, I managed to get 12,000 words out. But since I've been home, I think I got one. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. My life stays busy here. I got to work for a living, and then there's always something going on, some BS. It's not that I can't find the time to write it. But it's more than that. You got to have the attitude, or no, really. I mean, you mindset's got to be right for it. And my days are always got some kind of bullshit going on, so it makes it hard for the mindset to be right. Yeah, well, in LA, I wasn't doing nothing but working press. I mean, my partner was taking care of the business here, and my wife was taking care of the house. I didn't have to worry about anything. I was just hanging out in LA is what I was doing. Doing press. I got 24 or 26 interviews from there. I got another 15 or 20 since I've been home. Yeah, altogether, I'm going to have close to 100 interviews when it's all said and done. But that's last year and this year. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. It's interesting to see because people get all bent out of shape when it comes to the blood type study. It's not just that. Some of the other things we talk about, people get bent out of shape about, but there's nothing to get upset about when you talk about this. Yes, currently, the majority of people who are being taken happen to be Rh negative. Why? This could be a couple of reasons for it. Rh negative is later on the scene. It's a younger blood type than Rh positive. Matter of fact, I think for 2 million years, humans lived without Rh positive. I'd have to go check to be 100% sure, but it's on the ICAR website. But it was about 2 million. And then out of the blue, and for no good reason, bam, RH positive just shows up on the scene about arguments between 25 and 45,000 years ago. You can pick whatever date you want to. The dates in ink is not really that important. It is a little bit, but it's not as important as people would like it to make it out to be. There's more important things that tie into the dates, but somewhere between 25 and 45,000 years ago, RH negative popped up. Now, in that time, we'll say, so we're going to take the middle of the road. We're going to say 35,000. In that time, guess what? 15% of the population is now RH negative. That's a pretty good percentage of the population, if you ask me. They just, and it's growing, it's expanding. Well, when I was a kid, how can I say this? Blue eyes and green eyes, which make up the common eye colors, were all up 2 to 4% of the population. Today, it's depending on what survey you want to believe, anywhere from 8 to 14%. Some go as high as 18, but there's not any real facts to back it up. But still, even if it is 18, it's still a far cry from the 82% of the people who are brown-eyed. It's probably more like 90% of the people that are brown-eyed, but still, regardless, it's a lot. But the point is, it's changing, and it's changing. Well, it probably, in the grand schemes of Mother Nature, it's changing quickly. In the grand schemes of humans, it's changing slowly. I mean, very slowly. It's, hold on. Oh, sorry. That thing was buzzing on my phone. I had to get it off. It was making me crazy. Just another app wanting to play on my phone. Probably some kind of spam, to be honest with you. It's constantly spam on these damn phones. Actually, these days, now we're off topic again, but these days I just ignore spam most of the time. I used to go block, and it doesn't matter. They just use another number. Yeah, it just never seems to go away. The IRS calls, I've probably got 10,000 of them now. Something in your bank account, probably about 10,000 of those. It's just crazy. Things like that are just crazy. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. It's important to know that Rh negative and the colored eye, these are mutations. This is what these are. These are mutations. Colored eyes and Rh negative are mutations in our blood and our body. That's what they are. It's a mutation. So, knowing their mutations, you would think there was maybe some type of something canceling it out or some way to slow it down, but it's not. It's growing. So I would imagine in another 20,000 years, Rh negative will be about 30% of the population, maybe higher. So somewhere in the next 50 to 100,000 years, it's going to either be 50% or more. It is possible that Rh negative could eventually breed out Rh positive. It's possible. I mean, think about it. It was 0, now it's 15% in 35,000 years. So now it's going to take us half as long because there's more people. It'll take half as long to get to the next 35,000. I mean, yeah. Well, you know what I mean. So instead of being 35,000 to get to 15%, it'll be roughly about 17,000 more years, and we'll be at 30%. And then you can cut that again in half again. So in about 9,000, actually in about 8,500 years, we'll be at almost 50%. So if you add those together, you're roughly looking at about 60,000 years, give or take a couple of years. And Rh negative is now 50% of the blood's population. Wow, why? What is it that makes it different? Why is it like this? It seems to be aggressive in the way it seems to be spreading around the planet. There are places like South America and Central America are 98%. Oh, now that may have changed a little bit in the last time I read the report, but it's only been about 10 years since I read it, so I doubt it's changed much. 98%. That's insane. Why is it like that? Because the rest of the world's not like that. Like if you look at the continental United States, it's 35% this, 18% that, 9% this, 7% this, 2% this, 37% this. Yeah, well, AB positive and O positive are the two largest blood types. They're like 36 and 38 or something, or 36 and 37% of the population. So those two Rh, that's positives. Who sent me that? Hey, where are you from? Blue Haven, Connecticut? Is that what? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was just confused. When you said it, the name sounded familiar. Um, it is possible that it could slow down. I don't know why it would. It just seems to be booming now. In the old days, we used to have special shots for it, and you had to have a blood test to make sure that your baby wasn't stillborn. And then they invented the adenosine D gene, I think is what it's called, from a guy in Australia that got the way to get it. Yeah, some gene he had allows you now if you're Rh positive, Rh negative, if in other words, if the husband and the mother's one and the husband and mother's the other, and you try to have a baby, it would be stillborn a lot of times because the antibodies think the Rh negative is invading, so they go after it. But in the end, now that they have the Indian gene, it doesn't matter. And I don't even know if you have to get the shots anymore. I mean, I haven't checked in a while, but somebody told me it seemed like we were mutating to the point where we wouldn't need them anymore, like the body was adjusting because it's a larger percentage of the population now. I don't know. We'd have to go back and check to be 100% sure, but all of this is interesting stuff because what triggered it? So if it was Mother Nature who did this, Mom, what happened? What were you not happy with the Rh positive? Were they not making enough progress, or were they not diverse enough? I mean, so let's think about the population a million years ago. They were brown-eyed, brown-skinned, brown-haired. Yeah, no, they wasn't blue-eyed, they wasn't green-eyed, they wasn't white, they wasn't black. They were just kind of just. You know what's funny about this is the prediction of the future man is supposed to be light to medium brown colored skin, the whole entire population. Yeah, in about 5,000 years, they say that's what's going to happen. Don't ask me, ask the scientists. It's Harvard, Cambridge studies, things like that. Just look them up. Yeah, what was it called? But just check in. What will your skin color be in 5,000 years? Sorry, guys, my burglar alarm system went off because I dropped my phone. Sorry about that. It's if y'all want to adopt some loving chihuahua, I'll say I got two. No, just kidding. Can't have my dogs. Anyway, getting back to what we're talking about. So moving forward, here we have a blood now. Remember, O negative is a universal donor, but it's more important than being a universal donor, which is wow, how can it be more important than that? Because it's the purest form of blood known to man. It's where all of our hematological research come from today. All of it. So knowing that, you have to think, okay, so did Mother Nature create this so that man could move forward? So we could evolve? It's just like an evolution trigger? Is that what this was? Was Rh negative? No, that doesn't mean, okay, Ronnie, it doesn't mean it's going to wipe out the Rh positive, but just because it might be a trigger. The positive blood may not have been right enough for the kind of research we're going to need for now and in the future. Some of this stuff I don't understand either. I'm not a hematologist. I worked with three of them to do the original ICAR study, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Yeah, a lot more stuff about blood than I ever cared to know about. It's very interesting research. How it works, how it functions, why we have clusters of types and here and there and here and there. Because villages, a lot of times, even though they don't say they inbreed, a lot of times they'll have a common ancestry somewhere in the past. Like if it's a village of 100 or 500 or 1,000, they may all share a common ancestor somewhere. Now, they've outbred since then with other people along the lines. But back at that one point, someone, in somebody's coffee back there was putting their cream in their coffee or something. But regardless, that's how it got to be. So you'd have little pockets of like R positive A positive or B positive, B negative, or things like that. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. It's a strange thing the way this works. So certain types of villages, like if you look at the Indian nations in North America, it's very interesting if you look at their blood types. And you can tell the ones who have had contact with each other and the ones who weren't. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a whole blood research on Native Americans. It's fascinating stuff. Oh yeah, it is. There's also one on Mesoamericans too, which is also fascinating. You should read about it. It just shows the way they migrated, the things they did, how they lived, what kind of contacts they were having, what peaceful versus non-peaceful contacts, things like that. It's just yes, it's interesting stuff. I got to tell you, I enjoyed it immensely. I read it and then I got bored of reading, so I got the audio version and plugged it in so I could listen to it in my car. I listen to a lot of stuff in the car because I do a lot of driving. So getting back to the question I was asked a little while ago. Okay, technically, AB negative and AB positive are the rarest forms of blood at 1.5% of the population. They don't really count any weird, strange off-breeds because there's only these. Anything else would just kind of be an offshoot of one of these. But in retrospect, it really isn't because they can take Rh negative. So if they're in a bind and they can't get AB negative, they can take Rh negative. But guess what? Rh negative can only take Rh negative. That's it. And they're only 7% of the world's population. So it's a pretty rare blood to start off with, and they can only take their own. Whereas, so technically, AB negative is 8.5% because they can take Rh negative's blood. Mm-hmm. That's what I meant, Bobby. They can take the blood. So technically, it's about 8.5. Survival anyway. So for the Rh negative people, it's not. It's just 7%. No one else can take, they can't take anybody else's blood but their own. Why is that? Why isn't that like for all Rh negative? Why isn't AB negative like that, or B or A negative like that? Why is it O negative is like that? What's the difference? You got to wonder. O negative is an interesting blood. There's a lot of things that's involved with it. A friend of mine, Rachel, just texted me. Doofus. Well, no, I mean, a lot of people think that blood can determine personalities. They really do believe that certain blood types can show certain characteristics. Now, there are charts for this. People with Rh negative or A positive on how they act. And there is some basis to truth. I don't want to say the whole thing is true, but there does seem to be. It's kind of like the zodiac. You know, sometimes zodiacs are right on about an individual and sometimes they're not. Well, it seems to be this way with the blood types. Yeah, well. Oh, and then there's the thing if you're like O negative and a Pisces, Aquarius, or Libra, something like that versus or Taurus. It's just weird. It can get itchy squitchy really fast. No, because I don't want to entangle the zodiacs into it. I just thought it was interesting that someone had already done it. Really, for me, it's just simply about the blood types and why was there a change? You know, like I said, I worked with 3 hematologists. I've talked to probably a half a dozen or more since then. Just asking a question, where did Rh negative come from? It's interesting. Everyone gives me a different answer. You know, even if they don't know, it's still a different kind of answer on why they don't know. Oh, I find it fascinating. I really do. I mean, if they don't know why, somebody like, well, you should know that. Well, really? The hematologists on the planet don't know. Why the hell should I know? Area 51 is cool inside, people. Shh. I can't tell you, but it really is. Anyway, let me roll through a couple of these questions right quick, and then we'll get back to the conversation. What we got here? Who is this? Regina. Hey, Regina. Where are you at, Regina? You know the rule. Everybody should know the rule by now. San Francisco. Did I make a funny face? I'm sorry. You said San Francisco. I thought about Nancy Pelosi. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to tell you the other thing I thought about. No, I'm not. So anyway, I'm sorry. So yeah, okay. It is true that the child has the mother's blood type. Tricky comes in. They don't necessarily have the Rh factor. Ooh, I know. Well, because my doctor told me. Because my wife is O positive and I'm O negative, and my son was O positive. So I asked the doctor. He said, no, they have to have your blood type, which is O, and the Rh factor can be either one. Hey, live and learn. What the hell did I know? I was like 19 or something. No, it's 23. Sorry. Yeah, live and learn. No, actually, my son's an Aquarius. He's born 3 days after me. He's green-eyed, brown-haired, skinny little shit. But, yeah, I told my wife I wanted a green-eyed boy born on my birthday as close as she could get it. I mean, come on. That was damn good is all I can say. Yeah, that's all I can say. It was crazy. Frankie G, man, I ain't seen you in a while. Where you been hiding? Even somebody told me you got kicked out of one of the Power Talk rooms the other day, huh? For hating on liberals, I think it was. Frankie, what kind of trouble were you in? Anyway, what's your question? Oh, so Frankie wants to know, and Frankie's actually from New Orleans, by the way. He wants to know if the aliens had done this, why would they have done this? If it was the aliens, maybe they figured it was time to step our evolution up. And for Carol, because Carol's been hating on me ever since we started tonight about, positive is just as good as O negative. Yes, they are. But they may have been lacking the evolutionary trigger that RH negative has. So as far as personalities go, or where you live, or how rich you are, anything like that, the two are pretty close together. It's just one may have this trigger that the other one didn't have that could trigger our next phase of evolution. Maybe that's why ET gave it to us, because it was time. Because, when the first time I was talking to the very first hematologist I ever talked to, and he was telling me how O negative is the universal donor and it's the purest form of blood known to man. And I was asking him, I said, well, that's kind of weird that it wasn't around and it just showed up. Even he thought it was kind of weird. He was kind of like, well, it just showed up. They don't know why it showed up. It just did. Oh, go ask yourself. Oh, man, I get tired of even asking. Like I said, between the ones I started with and the ones I've talked to recently, it's ridiculous, different answers. Saffron, how you doing? Yeah, I seen you on my. I seen you left a thing on my Facebook the other day. Yeah, how you been? That's the only thing I miss about Pal Talk, because at least I could hear y'all in voice. Text is a pain in the ass. I was out in LA. Yeah, I was in April. I was out there with Writers of the Future. I was working press for Writers of the Future. I thought you were in Portland. Really? Well, that's cool. Still with the crazy guy, Mr. Maniac himself. I just thought about it because I was watching Wing Commander last night. Tell him I said hi. Anyway, what's up? You mean genetically, can we change the blood like for our babies? I don't know. I don't know if there's even a reason for it. I mean, the 8 RH factors in the 4 blood types are plenty enough. I mean, that gives us a good place to go for evolution. Well, there are weird, I guess you could call them subcategories for both eyes and bloods. But in this case, these are the ones that are important. These are the ones that are going on. Well, to be frank about this, I don't think in the beginning the majority of people who were being abducted were RH positive. I think they were RH. I don't think they were RH negative. I think they were RH positive. I think it changed over time. The contactees were either accidentally or intentionally put together with RH negative people, and those children, were barren. And think about it. To get to 15% before the shot, you know how many babies had to die? Think about it. How many stillborn babies there were because RH negative and RH positive people got together and had babies. Unless the aliens put them together, then maybe they controlled the birth, so there wasn't a problem. But I mean, to get to 15%, you have to have a lot of damn babies. And it just makes me wonder how many died in the process. I'm hoping ET stepped in and somehow or another changed that whole overall thing so that the babies live. But I know when I was a young man, I remember when I got married, we had to have a blood test. And that was that was 40 years ago, but still. We had to have a blood test. So it's only changed in the last 40 years, probably in the last 30. Well, Linda and I are not the same RH factor. We're different. She's RH positive, I'm RH negative. It's probably why we've always had such a sparky relationship. I'm sorry, that was corny. I apologize. Zimbabwe. I'm not even believing you're in Zimbabwe. You're going to have to prove it to me. Oh, no, we get people from South Africa all the time. Oh, I did hear about the big game shooter, the one that got killed in South Africa. I did hear about that. Yes, I did. Yes, the guy who sold tours to go out and kill elephants and giraffes. And I don't even want to say what I think about that. I'm not losing any sleep over it. I'll tell you that much, though. Majestic animals are majestic animals. You shouldn't go around killing them. If you need them to eat or to survive, it's one thing, but just to kill them for the sake of killing them. Mm-hmm. And before anybody asks, I did hunt when I was young, and I quit not long after my son was born. It just wasn't the same killing animals for sport. Well, we always ate them. I mean, but still, it's still sport hunting because you can go to a grocery store and buy it. You can buy venison anywhere down here in the South. Yeah, it's not even hard to find. So there's no really need to go out and kill it unless it's just something you need to do. It's a challenge, but I mean, it's still not a fair. I'm using a 30-06. He's using his antlers. As long as you don't get close, it's not a prayer for him. So, yeah, kind of like the Iraq War. Marsha, how you been? I see a lot of pal talkers texting me tonight. What are y'all all awake tonight? Or somebody said we were doing UFO stuff tonight. Is that what happened? I did talk to him the other day. He's got a regression session coming up. Mm-hmm. By the way, he is also RH negative. He's B negative. Mm-hmm. It's just our contactee group. The overall contactee group we have, the majority of them are about 65 to 67% are RH negative. And out of that, more than half of them are O negative. Yeah, it's they're looking for something particular, or they're breeding. Every time I talk about this, I think about the movie Taken. I hadn't really thought about it until we watched Taken again a couple of weeks ago. If y'all haven't watched Taken, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Steven Spielberg did a miniseries on abductions. It's called Taken. It's all I can tell you is somebody was reading my research when they made this movie. Not all of it. I mean, a lot of shit they just take whatever with, creative license. But there's some stuff in there. Some of the way the aliens move, some things they do, there's a lot of stuff in there they were listening to somebody. I don't know who, but they were paying attention. Oh, sorry about that little mousy thing. But they were paying attention. The blood type thing was such a weird thing to get involved with. I mean, we were looking, and this is how we're the legit people who did this. Because first off, we've been doing it for 20 years, but the thing of it is when people ask why you did this, there's always some big bullshit answer on why they did it, but there is no big bullshit answer. The reason we did this is to help us find more abductees. Okay, so there's a couple of things we use to find out if people have been abducted or not. And because, sometimes they may have a dream, it might be something passing, they may have like a 5-minute thing and that's it. And you need more than that to launch an investigation. So we were looking for ways to identify. We even have a career thing. Oh, yeah, it's on the website. To see if there was any alignments of careers or jobs. I forgot what November called the job something. It's still there. How many people in just this field or that field or this field. But it does seem to be spread out pretty equally, so I don't think it really matters who you work for. So the blood type thing was just a fluke. We got into it. We started noticing some patterns, so we launched a study and thinking, okay, maybe if we know a particular blood type they like better, we can focus in on those kind of people. Well, we found a whole RH factor they like better. So now when somebody tells me they've seen this, that, or done this, and then they tell me they're RH negative, okay, you kind of got my interest a little bit. But let me tell you what, RH positive people, as long as you say the right things, just like RH negative people, then we'll investigate your case. ICAR has let about 40% of their abduction criteria loosen the population. And it makes it a little bit harder now because, I love when I hear other researchers quoting my stuff. It just, it's worse than that. When some of the other researchers in the organization hear them quoting ICAR stuff in general, oh, people get pissed. Matter of fact, just recently, a friend of mine, Dee Andrew, who passed a few years back, she was our national director, and Dee was our resident Roswell expert. And she knew more than even Stanton Friedman did about Roswell. And she had run down some information on the nurse that was supposedly there with the 3 aliens. And we had got some feedback on it, and she had got some feedback. So I don't know, it's, she's passed away. I'm listening to a show there, and they're not going to mention which one. And they're talking about how they uncovered this. Yeah, they uncovered it by listening to Eye to the Sky. That's how they uncovered it. Shitheads. It's it was her research. She found this out. She ran it down. I think she was the only one who actually figured out who the nurse was. These people hadn't figured it out, but she did. It was a strange thing. Dee was a hell of a researcher. I hated to see her go. Because she was a good friend of mine. I miss her all the time. She was tough, fair, honest, and she was put in the position she was to keep an eye on me. That was her main job. Even though she was national director and had to deal with everything else, her main job was to keep me from going native. That was her main job. Yes, it's easy. There's a lot of people want our attention, want to be involved with what we're doing. They show a lot of interest in what we're up to. Contactees are looking for people to listen to them, to believe them, to help them out, to make them feel better about themselves. It almost has like a cultish surrounding to it. So there was her and a few other people that are good friends of mine that, because I was a spokesperson. I was the one out in the front. I was the one that was always talking to everybody. I was the one who was fielding the questions. I was the one that was going to have first contact with most of the new members coming in. So we wanted to keep it, only research. And they were good about it. I got to give them credit for that. Well, I've watched too many, and to be honest with you, I never thought I would do it, but still, I watched too many ufologists, and even ones today, start believing their own press. And when you believe your own press, you're done for. Oh yeah, look at Uncle Joe. I mean, he believes his press. He's done for. You can't, regardless what press is being put out there, but you can't believe your own press. No, once you start believing your own press, you're screwed. You're screwed, blued, and tattooed. Yes, you are. Do I have an ego? Of course I have an ego. Do you really think I could do as much radio or public speaking as I do if I didn't have an ego? Get out of here. No, it's impossible. Okay, I interview a lot of people who are narcissists. I interview a lot of people who are inverted, extroverted. I got people. I got to literally just pull the answer out of it. It's like Dumbledore. He takes the whole thing and pulls it. Yeah, same thing. You got to pull the answer out of him. Yeah, it's tough night. It's tough work some night. Yes, it is. But that's why the blood type study was started. It was so we could find more abductees and more contactees. The added benefits that came out of it was just we didn't expect what we were going to find. No, none of us did. And I remember the first meeting we had after the study had ran for almost 7 years. And we'd pull all the data off the iCross site and all the data from all the applications we had, which at the time was, I think, around 36 or 37,000. And then we sat down and we looked at it. And we were just like, like the website, you got to take it with a little grain of salt because you can't click more than once, but we don't know if you're a contactee or not when you do it. Applications are a little bit different. They're much more complicated. They're more time consuming. So most people who are hoaxing shit won't take the time to finish it out. It's involved. Oh yeah. Look, I didn't like filling them out, but I went through painstaking with 2 different directors to make sure they were like that. Because a real contactee will fill it out. And actually they won't even get aggravated about it. They'll be like, yeah, these are good. Yeah. So I'm glad somebody asked. It's different. Yes, it works real well. We're not stupid. We've been around for a while. Who told you that? There may be a new organization on the rise. There may be. I got a lot of people to talk to first. We'll see. I'm not going to talk about it tonight because there's been a lot of stuff going on, and we may retire one and start another. Well, you mean because we think we've reached the end of the road for research? No, indeed not. Oh, hell no. No, all the research comes with us. It's just, well, because we actually focus on more than what's listed in the title. So, but we'll get around to that. That if it's going to happen, it won't happen for a few months, maybe even a year. So, it just a lot of people to talk to. Actually, it was a suggestion by an extraterrestrial. I know, huh? I know. Do you believe that or not? I know. We'll figure it out because it's true. I know. What can I tell you? They're interested in things like that. Janine, how you doing, boo? Now I got y'all open. Usually, see, when I'm doing shows with other people, I kind of keep the messages off to one side. But right now, y'all are half screen, so I can see what's going on. No, it just pops up. I had to turn the thing off because if not, it goes blink, 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 or blink, blink, like bloop is actually what it does. It's irritating as all hell. Now, that's an interesting question. So, a lot of Hollywood people, or blue or green eyed, or some shade of. Not that they're not brown eyed beauties, but a good half or more are represented with colored eyes, and not just there, in politics as well. And then you'd be surprised at how many, both in Hollywood and in music and in politics, are Rh negative. It's an odd thing for such a small percentage of blood type. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe they are more aggressive. Maybe the blood type came from the reppies, and maybe that's why we're more aggressive now. We all have a reptilian section in our brain. We know that. Oh, speaking of that, so I've given many lectures about reptilians and the reptilian section in our brain and the Sumerians, and it's a great lecture, by the way, but still, people are like, Joe, you're crazy. We ain't got no reptilian section in my brain. I remember, where was I? I think it's in D.C. I just got through doing a lecture on military abductions about Katarina Wilson, Melinda Leslie, and it was two others. That I think it was Corona Sables and I can't remember her name. Anyway, not Marion Delicata was the other one. Shucks, her name comes. Anyway, I was doing a lecture on that, and it came up in passing, and it became it became the focus of the topic. It was a really strange thing. It changed the whole entire layout of the. Damn, I can't talk. The whole entire layout of the lecture. Sorry, I couldn't get that out for some reason. No, I'm drinking. Actually, I'm not. Shh. You're not supposed to ask me them kind of questions. I almost got myself in trouble. No, I'm drinking coffee. Somebody asked me what kind of. They asked me. They just asked me if I was drinking a certain type of coffee. That's all they asked me. See, there's no name. It just says coffee. Oh, I got me one of those 1-cup coffee makers. I love that thing. Oh, I love that thing. That thing is great. I've been making all kind of shit in it. Tea, coffee, chocolate. You name it, I've been making it. It's like a kid. I'm a kid with a new toy. What can I say? Well, I mean, you mean about the lectures? No, yeah, because the Sumerians and the reppies, but it's like in the one lecture I was talking about. So I said at the end of the lecture, somebody asked me about it because they'd heard me talk about it somewhere else. And I said, no, yeah, we definitely have a reptilian section in our brain. I said, and according to the reptilians and the human aliens, the interbreeding between the two of them is what gave it to us. And I said, it's what makes us. I said, before that, we were a slave race. After we got it, we were like, we're not a slave race no more, SOBs. No, I'm serious. That's how it's written. That's how it comes out of the play. And there's several Middle Eastern groups that talk about this. The Dogon talk about this. The Egyptians talk about this. The Sumerians talk about this. I'm pretty sure it's in some Muslim lore as well. So anyway, getting back to what we were talking. Well, no, the reptilians were there. That they said they came and found human aliens slaving humans, not quite like us. They looked like us. They just weren't sentient in the way we understand sentient. They didn't ask why they were here. They didn't ask why they had to do anything. They just did it. Like you trained your dog. Yeah, it's no different. Yeah, they were about the sentience of your dog. And then the reptilians interbred with us. And after a few generations, those with the reptilian blood became aggressive. Not in the way they want to go around killing people, just in the way that, why don't you go plow the damn field? Why do I have to do it? Why can't you go out and change the garden? I don't have to do that. Why do I have to make the meat? Why don't you make it? Why do I have to make this flavor? And then it became a question. Humans had woke up and became mostly the species we are today. But if you believe in the reptilians, humans, and greys interacting with our species, then you have to know even that species has changed now. Now we have all three races in our blood, plus whatever we started out with originally. We should surpass them all. Maybe that's why they keep such a good eye on us. It won't be anytime soon, 500 million years maybe, but we'll pass them up. We'll become the more advanced species. We may even one day become light beings. Maybe that's why they're keeping an eye on our asses. Or maybe they're worried we're just going to get in space and start nuking people. Oh, I like that planet. Let's nuke it. Well, nobody lives there. Let's try a couple of nukes on it. And then we find out we just wiped out 2 species or something. That's what I'm saying. There's no telling. There's lots of reasons for them to keep eyes on us. And lots of reasons to help us become part of the galactic community in the future. Well, what? Rango. Where do I know Rango Wrestler from? I know that Nick somewhere. Where? Oh, I know where I know that from. Yeah, I know who that. Yeah, I know who you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what was your question before I got all off? And who the hell are you, Mister? I'm from Vegas, man. Don't mess with me. I'm from Vegas. Yeah, I'm the Vegas man. You should just name yourself Vegas man. Get it over with. I'm telling you, it'd be a better name, Vegas man. I don't know who else got it, but give it a try. See what it is. Yeah, you heard. That's interesting. So I can't get into this much, but I've got it on a much better source now that the tall whites do exist out at Area 53. Oh, yeah. No, I can't get into why, but very recently, I came across an individual that proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that, yes, there is aliens out at Area 53. Well, Charles Hall is the one who originally brought it to me, and everybody gave him shit. I even gave him trouble. I did not believe him. I just figured he believed whatever he was saying. He was convincing. So I said, well, if he's lying, then he just believes a lie, because I didn't think he would fail a polygraph or anything. I think he'd go right through it. But we had other people call in. We had a couple of dealers from Vegas call in. We had a couple of taxi cab droppers. We had 2 state troopers who had all said they had seen him in the casino. Oh, yeah. 7, 8, 9 different witnesses said they seen him in the casino. 2 limo drivers said they had shuffled him around in Vegas. 2 taxi cab drivers, high-end taxi cab drivers, they like them van things. They said they had shuffled him around in Vegas. They gave accurate descriptions. And I only gave, in the original interviews, we only gave X amount of description. So you would have had to see more in order to tell us what you saw. We didn't give enough. The descriptions we gave were adequate to help you look for something, but they weren't even close to detail. Well, we had the details. We just needed them to say it, though. It's like anything, even with abduction research. It doesn't matter how much we know. We need you to say it. We can't say it for you. And you say, oh, yeah, that's right. Well, it can be any damn thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what left of Bob. Mm-hmm. Pissed me off. What can I say? That's Bob the Gray, or what's left of Bob the Gray. He's still telepathic even did, though. It's interesting. What can I tell you? Actually, that was supposed to be a replica of another skull. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just a skull that's there. It was a gift by one of our listeners. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Oh no, I've had all kind of stuff sent in by listeners: laptops, phones, all kind of stuff. Somebody sending me towels this week, brand new from Amazon. Yeah, don't ask me. Maybe they didn't think I had no towels. I don't know. Towels and a camera, a doorbell camera. Have I been bitching I needed a doorbell camera or something lately? Look, I get all kind of weirdness. I get all kind of other stuff besides that, but I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff. But we get some weird stuff sent to us from time to time. Yeah. I've had people send me pizzas. Oh, yeah, right in the middle of shows, people send me pizzas. They think it's funny how to get them and go get the pizza. Then I come back, who sent me the damn pizza? I know. Over the years, we've had a lot of different weird stuff like that. You mean who I think is the most powerful alien? The Greys by far. I think the Greys would stomp the reptilians and humans put together. I think they'd stomp them. I think they could even bring the humans in and they'd still stomp them. And the sad part is, I don't even think they'd need more than 1 or 2 ships to stomp them. Greys are. First off, their technology is organic. They grow their spaceships. And they grow them in such a fashion that they're sentient. And the spaceship itself can produce its own fuel and food for the Greys. It produces a plasma that could be, it's a plasma. So, and the ship does it the same way the Greys do. The Greys do like an osmosis almost. They can absorb the food through their skin. And that's why Greys are tricky to get the colors on, because right after they feed, they look like a particularly colored blue. They're rarely ever seen as gray. And the only time you might even confuse them as gray is when they haven't eaten in a while, so because they're kind of translucent looking. I know. But that's all it used to be, classified abduction stuff. Yeah, but now it's not, because we want people, if they've seen that sort of thing, to contact us. Well, we have other criteria now. The more we investigate, the more we learn. Would y'all like me to hypnotize the whole group tonight? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like to go for a walk down the beach? Gentle walk down this nice surf sand. You can smell the salt in the air. The tide just barely lapping against your toes. You can even feel your toes squishing in the sand at this point. Now, we could get much deeper into this, but I don't want to put my audience in. Make your checks payable to Joe. Thank you. No, the Greys are by far the most powerful aliens, at least that visits our planet. Yeah. Well, the light beings aren't really interested in us. That's bullshit. When most people tell you they met their light beings, they're lying to you. I'd be more like, who's pulling the wool over your eyes? First off, any full-out light being, you couldn't even be around it. It would like melt humans. Yeah, even the Greys have a hard time being around them. Reptilians, humans won't go around them at all. No, they're like a pure form of plasma. They're pure energy. They can travel through space. They can build and design worlds. They don't need ships. They don't need anything physical. They can simply think it and make it happen, whatever it is. Yeah, for the average human, they would be considered gods because they can do anything a god can. They can manipulate time and space. Like I said, they can build planets. They can destroy planets just with thought. They can travel with thought. They're just pure energy. While the rest of us are kind of stuck, in a fleshy form. You mean shapeshifters? Yeah, light beings can be shapeshifters because of pure energy. So it's easy for them to shapeshift. Most of the other races, they're not really physically. It's not that I'm saying there's none out there that can do it. It's just the ones that they say do it here don't. They do something different. And the way you know this is multiple witnesses, because people say, "Oh, I seen the Gray turning this or the reptilian turning that or whatever." But the problem is they're not physically transforming. They're making you think they did. It's some kind of defense. We don't know if it's a technology or if it's just built in their brains. With the Greys, it's probably built in. With the other ones, it may be a technology. But whatever it is, you could be on an airplane full of people and they would all see you as what they thought they should see you as. None of them are going to see you as you reptilian or any of that. I know. I often wonder how a 600-pound reptilian gets into an airplane seat. Well, he has to fly first class. There's no way he's getting in coach. He'd take up all 3 seats. Shit, I can barely fit in coach. Oh, I don't fly coach unless there's just no other way. Has nothing to do about money. It's just uncomfortable. Well, if I flew every day, it'd be different, if I was wasting that kind of money. But, well, no, then I'd fly. I like to fly business class. I don't need to fly first class. Business class is fine. Big, wide seats, only 2 seats. Up in the front, so you get off first. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Oh, like they give a shit if you're in an airplane. The Greys don't care where you are. If they want to take you, they're going to take you. If for some reason they feel the need to take you, your ass is getting taken. You could be in jail. You could be in a White House. You could be in a fighter jet. They don't care. If it's your time to be taken, you're getting taken. That's just all there is to that. Yeah, beam me up, Scotty, my ass. They're just going to take you. Even if they're going to put the whole plane in suspension in time, they're still going to take you. Well, no, more than likely what they're going to do is they're going to come in, freeze the moment, and take you out of it. And then, so there's not a panic on the plane, they will put you back in at the moment. They took your, well, sometimes they put you in before you left, which is confusing. Yeah, I guess you're a soul hopping. I don't know. It's confusing. I've heard many people talk about it. It's still confusing. Yeah, I guess you're entering your own body. Your essence is popping into the body that's there as that one's pushing out. Yeah, it's a strange thing. But that way you're not missing. Nobody ever sees an empty chair. They're like, oh, well, where'd that guy go that was sitting next to me? Oh, my God. No, they don't see that kind of stuff. As far as I know, they can take you out of time and spaces for as long as they want. I mean, we got cases, several months people were missing, but nobody knew they were missing because there was no time gone. So, this is one of my favorite cases to talk about because I had dinner with this couple. So we're in Pensacola, Florida, went down for dinner. Friends of ours that are abductees, male and female, married couple. We had dinner. We left that night. I think it was about midnight, but we had the girl in the restaurant take pictures of us. She took 4 pictures, 2 of which we took, 2 of they took. Both the women wearing dresses, about thigh high, both the guys, myself and him, wearing a suit, so everybody looked nice. It was a really nice restaurant. So we leave, and I was going to see him around lunchtime before I left that day just to check in. Man, it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. My cell phone starts ringing. I'm like, who the fuck is it calling me on my cell phone? And I just ignored it. So then the hotel phone starts ringing. I'm like, what? Because only 2 people knew where we were. This couple and my son. So I knew it had to be something. So I picked up the phone and answered, and it's them, and they're screaming and panicking and going on. And, you got to come over. You got to come over. You got to come over. I'm like, I'm like, all right, let me get a cup of coffee. I'm on my way. So I get dressed. I'm fumbling around, get over there. It took about a half an hour to get over there. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I look up at this guy. He's got a beard like this. It's coming out to here. He looks like freaking Grizzly Adams. Well, when I seen him that night, he was clean shaven, no beard, nothing. I looked down. This girl had hair on her leg this long. It was so long it was curling around itself. So we had him go see a doctor, something to see if there was like some kind of explanation for spontaneous hair growth. He showed the doctor the pictures. The doctor didn't know what to think. The doctor said, judging from this, it looks like about 3 weeks of hair growth. So then they put it to a test. He shaved his face, she shaved her legs, and they let it go for 3 weeks. And sure enough, it was about 3 weeks worth of hair growth, maybe even a little bit more. Okay, well, I had seen them in, I guess it was 12:15, 12:20 when we left. And they were calling me at 6 in the morning. So in that 5-hour period, they lost 3 weeks. How does that work? They have to have a way to take you out of time and space. Or at least out of time, maybe not out of space, but they have to have a way to take you out of time. 3 weeks, people. That's ridiculous. It's not even the longest case I've heard of. So, but they put them back same day, or later that day. So no one knew that was going. There was no one at the house with them. There was no one that seen them leave or disappear, and they put them back before anybody missed them. They've gotten slick, and I know why they got slick. And ufologists hate when I talk about this because I'm right and they hate it. They never thought that ET might actually react to what we were doing. So we're studying it. We're finding ways to identify contactees and finding ways that, to know when they're around and figure stuff out. Well, okay. They said, well, guess what? We're not going to give you missing time anymore. We're going to change the way we do this. So we either put them back at the same time or a little bit before. So it's gain time or odd time. So in the odd time, you have to find something that's out of whack to figure it out, like the hair thing. Or another one of my favorites, also in Pensacola, Florida. A couple was staying at the hotel. One of my favorite places to stay at the Navarre Beach Hotel. It's right across from the military base, right across. It's on the back bay, beautiful setting, right there by the beach. It's just a great place to hang out. So they left their hotel at I think it was about 10 minutes to 11. Stopped at the local Circle K. It was right at shift change. So it had to be right before, right after 11. The 2 girls working the shift, the 3 girls, working the shift. Right, remembered them when we asked about them. Because they were real nice, and they were talking about going looking for UFOs because that's what they were doing. They were going UFO hunting. They drove down the Navarre Beach Road where the park is and parked their car. Got out of the car, walked down to the beach. Now I'm not going to get all into what happened to them that night because it's really strange. Comes back, gets in their car, drives back, goes back to the hotel, go to bed. Right. So anyway, a couple of days goes by. Found in between the 2 seats is a ticket. Some cop had given him a ticket for illegal parking. Okay, no big deal. Well, first off, how did the cop get in the car? The doors were locked. He even went back to make sure the doors were locked because he had money and a gun in the car, which was still there, by the way. Strange, but So anyway, there's a ticket. So they call a cop because the ticket said 10 minutes after 10. So they call a cop and said, what's going on here? Because Pensacola time is still Central Time, like where they live. It's still Central Time. So they're like, we weren't even on the beach at 10 minutes to 10. Oh, yes, sir. I seen your car there at 10 minutes to 10. I said, no, we're not. We were at the hotel at 10 minutes to 10. And sure enough, if you go look at the hotel video, the car was there at 10 minutes to 10. Also, though, on the cop's cam on his car, it was at the beach at 10 minutes to 10. The girl that runs what do they call them? I can't think of their names now, but the ones who do the dispatchers also concurred. It was 10 minutes to 10 when they called it in. That's what time they got it on their phone, at 10 minutes to 10. He's got it both on his cell phone and his car cam at 10 minutes to 10. He said nobody's changed the time, so there's nothing wrong with the time, and there wasn't. So we looked at the film, but the car was there at 10 minutes to 10. We watched the car leave at 10 minutes to 11 and drives down to the Circle K. We seen it leave the parking lot. We checked the Circle K girls. It was 10 minutes to 11. I mean, it was 11. And then they went down the beach. So they were on the beach at about 10 after 11, not 10 after 10. But see, that's the thing. They were in the car at 10 minutes after 11. So it couldn't even have been an accident. They hadn't got to the beach yet. In other words, the cop couldn't have came up and wrote it for the wrong time because it wasn't even there. And to get from where they were to where they were going takes about 5 or 10 minutes of trudging through the sand. So nobody came up while they were doing that because they would have seen them. So how did this happen? How in the hell do we have a car being in two places at the same time? At the hotel and at the beach. It was there at 10 minutes to 10. Or 10 minutes after 10. I'm sorry, I keep saying 10 minutes. So it was 10 minutes after 10. It was there just like it was there at 10 minutes after 11. But at the hotel, it was at the hotel at 10 after. It was at the hotel at 10 till. It was at the hotel until they left at 10 till 11. You figure it out. And the funny part about it is, I shouldn't say the funny part, but the weird part about it is the girls at the Circle K remember the cop coming in the store at about 9:50, and I don't even say this because it's classy, getting coffee and have Krispy Kreme donuts there, and got some donuts. I was thinking, son of a bitch, man, ain't nobody gonna believe this. But he talked to the girls for a few minutes, and then he headed down the street that goes to the park at Navarre Beach against Eglin Air Force Base, because the park's right up against Eglin Air Force Base. And so that's when he wrote the ticket. But that's impossible because the car was still at the hotel. You figure out and tell me what happened. I know what it is because I regressed him and found out. I bet y'all figure it out. It's freaky stuff. But there's lots of stuff like that that shows you that something happened because there's something screwy with time or something's out of it. Here's another one. Lady drives to work 6 months. She's pregnant as all hell, right? And she's for like 4 months, she's craving hot dogs and chili for breakfast. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, and I know she's a good friend of mine. So she said, yeah, every morning I stop and get me a chili dog. There was a little chili dog stand on the highway on the way to work. She said, best hot dog she's ever eaten. Now that I go back and think about it, I think it was a damn abduction place. But anyway, let's just stop. So she stops there every day and gets a hot dog. Okay. So she has a baby. The baby's healthy, beautiful baby. So she's driving to work one morning. She stops and gets a hot dog, right? Just like 6 months after the baby's born, she stops and gets a hot dog. No big deal. On the way to work, she's craving that thing. She said, man, I think I'm pregnant again. So I'm going to stop and get a damn hot dog. So she stopped and got a hot dog. All right. So the next day she's driving to work, and guess what? She looks at the hot dog stand. It's been closed for 4 months. But the day before, she stopped and got a hot dog at that stand. How is that possible? See, there's lots of these little things that are out of sync. So we know stuff happened. So that helps us to go regress a person to maybe find out what's going on, or to have them maybe to relive it so they can figure out what's going on. But regardless, these little things are trigger events that help us to figure it out. It's just like cover memories versus trigger memories. So in the old days, everybody believed they were cover memories, myself included, by the way. This is one of the things I changed with iCar later on after I realized we were wrong and everybody else was wrong. So they're not cover memories, they're trigger memories. So we learned a long time ago that ET does not have to leave any memory in your head at all. They can make it to where you just don't know anything happened at all. You won't even question it. They don't have to leave anything. So when you see a spaceship, especially, or something that's out of whack, it's a trigger memory. And the reason they give you that is because they want you to think about what just happened to you. They want you to remember. You showed some interest on board that ship that makes them think that you can handle it. So they want you to remember. So they leave you little breadcrumbs so it can help you out. So I've always told people, not everyone can see a UFO because, frankly, if you haven't been taken, you haven't been exposed to it, you're not going to be able to see one. They don't have to let anybody see a UFO, but when you're a contactee, you become exposed enough to them that you see them. You can even sense them when they're close by because they're very high energy. But people who have never seen one, or I should say never been taken, are never going to get to see one. Yeah, think about it. Here's a great case. Phoenix Lights, Phoenix, Arizona. How many people live in Phoenix? What, 2 million people live in Phoenix? How many people saw the Phoenix Lights? 16,000? I don't think it was that many, like 6,000. How is that possible? It was on the news, people on the news talking about the Phoenix Lights, and still only a few people saw it. Because that's probably the contactee base in Phoenix. Mexico City, 24 million people. 1 million people saw a UFO hovering over the city for 24 hours. Okay, the mayor seen it, the police chief seen it, a couple of pastors seen it. It was all over the news. All right. Why did the other 23 million people not see it? Anybody got any answers to that? Because you're not a contactee. You're not exposed to it. You're not going to see it. That's what I told people all the time. They don't have to let you see anything unless they want to. They don't mistakenly let you see a UFO flying across the sky. If you see a UFO flying off the sky, more than likely, you just got your ass dropped off. Or they're coming to pick you up, one or the other. But it's usually nothing. No. They don't just randomly let you. Yeah, it doesn't matter for the military. Military is the same way. What, because you're a jet pilot, you're not an abductee? That's bullshit. I know jet pilots that are abductees. I know fighter pilots that are abductees. I know firemen, police chiefs, politicians. Yeah, they don't discriminate. If your family line was one of the original family lines, your ass is being taken. Hey, Stone Hobbit, how you doing? It's hey Michelle, how you doing? No, it's just the way it works. Well, I like being an honorary ufologist. Maybe I should change my name. It's because people don't like it when I'm right. Do you know how much, if you go listen on the radio right now, I could sit down and get up with a couple of our reps and sit down and go all the stuff we released over the last 2.5 decades. And you could go listen to all these people who say it's their research. You'd crap yourself. No, Joe don't care. No, that's bullshit. I do care. You mean about my own personal research? No, see, that's different because I put it out there because I want contactees especially to know that other people know and you're not going crazy. You've not lost your mind that this shit does happen. Yeah, that's the whole point. I really want people to know. That's what ICAR was founded for, to find out the truth and to give people a place to know they're not alone, that they're not crazy and this shit does happen. No, Bonnie, not everybody who tells us. Bonnie Roberts? I'm about to talk. No, not everybody who, okay. If you're not part of the original family bloodline, however, 2 million, 1 million, 200,000, whenever it happened, whenever they decided to interbreed in with our population, if you're not part of that original bloodline, they're not abducting you. They don't randomly go around abducting people. No, they don't. That's bullshit. Travis Walton. No, I've talked to Travis about this. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, you want to hear a good archive? Go listen to me talking to Travis. So I said, Travis. I'm like, Mr. Travis Walton, how are you tonight? Did you ever stop to think that they knew you were on the mountain? And you heard Travis go, I'm like, well, Travis, they're aliens. They have advanced technology. I said, besides the fact that truck is so noisy, it's going up and down like this so you can see the lights flashing in the sky and it's making a horrible noise. Just that alone, they knew you were coming. But no, they had already scanned the mountain. They knew you were there. They were sitting on the side of that road waiting for you. They didn't have to be there. There's lots of clearings they could have landed in, but they landed in the clearing next to the road. And only you got out the truck. Everybody else stayed. And you're the one that got zapped, and you're the one that got taken, and you're the one that got handed off to the government. That really freaked him out, by the way. Because I asked him, I said, when you met those two people in those two white suits, were they talking to you? Was it telepathic? Were they talking? He said they were talking. And him and I talked about it. It sounds typical, like a CDC disease control system. Like they were checking him out to see what he was exposed to. And that's not the first time I've heard this. Betty and Barney Hill said this, because I really think Betty and Barney Hill's abduction was a military abduction in the United States. Not that they had been abducted, but that particular one in the United States was a military abduction. It's because that's what the evidence takes you. I don't care what Kathleen says. I've debated this, Kathleen. Matter of fact, on the ICAR website, there is a whole debate between myself, Linda, and Kathleen on this very subject. And yes, she got her butt kicked because she tried to fudge it and lie and change stories, and we already knew the original story. I heard it in Barney and Betty's own words, listening to them on the 16 from, I think I got archives from like 68 all the way up to like 72 of them talking about it. I had the original Simon's tapes, still do somewhere on some hard drive somewhere. I still have them somewhere. Oh, God knows where now. I've got 40 terabytes of stuff now, maybe 50 if I look around. Oh yeah, every computer has at least 10 terabytes these days. And then there's backup hard drives that are 10 terabytes, 5 terabytes, 10 terabytes. There's a couple of those, about 5 or 6 of them. So there's just information all over the place. Yeah, I need a main server is what I need. A big storage server. But that's the whole point, though. So we know that the aliens do these things because they learn from us. So there's a couple of things like missing time and a few other things that we realized helped us to understand that people were being taken. They adjusted the way they did things according to us. And it took us a while as researchers to figure out what the hell they did, why there was no missing time cases. There's hardly any missing time cases anymore. Oh, they're always watching. You know, Stone, that's what they do. They, especially the Greys. The reptilians and humans do it too, but the Greys, they keep, I call it a soft telepathic connection. It's a low powered connection, but you can feel it. It's always in the back of your head. Anytime they get around you or close, it gets more powerful. So you know they're coming. You can sense them. A lot of contactees tell me it makes them feel sick to the stomach, but most of them now, well, let me rephrase that. Most abductees tell me it makes them feel sick to the stomach. Most contactees have learned how to deal with it. They just know they're coming, so they start preparing themselves for the abduction or the taking, whatever, however you want to look at it. It's but you know, they taking us for the reasons they're taking us, for breeding programs, for interbreeding programs, for other programs. Martha. Oh no, you're not my friend Martha. I can tell by the way you're writing. No, that you mean no. Okay. You've heard me talk about Rachel Eyes before. Okay. No, they don't just let hybrids on the planet because hybrids are dangerous. They don't know what a hybrid's going to do, especially when raised by a human, or as the Fringy say, a human. They're not going to let you just go around with some hybrid. You don't know what kind of abilities they're going to develop, what kind of stuff's going to go on. They may have telekinesis. They may have all kind of energy and powers that has no business being on this planet because they don't know how to deal with it. In the case of Rachel Eyes, it was okay. She was a hybrid. She was a hybrid that the government was aware of, and she was going to college. It was like an experiment for both the humans and the aliens. She looked pretty human, but she kind of, you could tell there was something different about her. She didn't eat regular food. She had to have a special kind of food made for her. There was always security around her, watching her, seeing what's up. They didn't interfere with her life, but they kept a really good eye on her. But eventually, her abilities developed to the point where it was die or leave, and take your choice on what actually happened. It's a great book. It's called Rachel Eyes. Yeah, you can look at it. I'm pretty sure it's still available for publishing. I'm pretty sure that the ladies who wrote it have passed now. They were pretty old. Helen, I can't think of her name right now, but Helen Littrell, and I can't think of the other lady's name, but the book's called Rachel Eyes. Check it out. That's all I can tell you. Oh man, I got all kind of good information. Well, no, because, all right, what you're saying is why do you take this person or that person or this person? It's not based like that. So say your mom is Jane Doe, and Jane Doe got taken by the aliens 50,000 years ago and impregnated. And those children coming forward are direct descendants of that lineage. So that's the ones the aliens watch because they have a little alien blood in them. And those are the ones coming forward. Those are the ones who are telepathic or empathic and stuff like that. So they're watching those abilities, and they try to put certain families together. And we've seen this more than once in the ships to try to increase those abilities. But I'll tell you this, and anybody who ever wants to put up any money about this, people tell me all the time, well, everybody's telepathic or late. No, that's bullshit. And I will bet you any amount of money you want to bet anytime you want. I will take you to any mall in the country and prove you wrong in less than 5 minutes. It's an easy thing, people. Get 2 cards. Don't even make it complicated. Get a red and blue, green, whatever. It doesn't matter. 2 dice, 2 numbers. It doesn't really matter. Get 2 things. Cards work the best, especially color cards. Get a red and a blue, whatever. So you get these 2 cards. You look at them left and right, and you put them down, and then you ask them which card is red, which card is blue. If they're an empath or a telepath, they'll know it because they don't have to look at the cards. They'll just look into your brain. You know what it is. Then they got it. Every time. They'll be right almost every time. If they only get less than 50-50, and by the way, it's kind of strange. A lot of people like flipping the coins or doing this get less than 50-50. They're not. No, and they never will have an ability. It's not in their family line. It's not something that's being, no, it's just not. That's got to be bred into you. And maybe in the future, their family line might breed in with another of the contactee family lines, but not until that happens. And remember, Greys, reptilian, human, contactee. So in the beginning, we had the Greys and the reptilians doing this because of whatever the bullshit we talked about earlier in the show was going on. So later on, the Greys came in and got in to make sure no wars got started. So now you got 3 different races abducting our people and screwing around with our DNA, with the contactees' DNAs that they originally screwed around with. So now, Joe the Grey marries Mary the reptilian, who has a baby, who marries a human alien, who has another baby, who marries back into a Grey, who has a baby that marries into a reptilian. So this shit gets really complicated really fast. And now you've got hybrid upon hybrid on top of hybrid on top of hybrid. What are these people becoming? What's going on? We do know from the 2000 census, from 2000 and the 2010 census, that there is a population inside the United States of young people. Actually, it's 2 different generations now because of the way it was tested, that are different and far more advanced than the rest. And it's not because they have advanced IQs or anything like that. Matter of fact, the IQs are usually only 130, 140, which isn't bad, but isn't high either. It's not like a 160, 170, 180. Yes. It's a very strange thing to see. Well, yeah, that's true, Stone, because everybody starts out as an abductee because you don't know what the hell is going on. You don't even know if it's real. You're thinking, oh my God, I'm having these dreams. I'm having these things. I'm seeing stuff in my house. I'm crazy is what I am. Later on, you find out, no, I am being taken. I want to become part of this. So you become a contactee. Hey, Marcus, how you doing, sir? Well, why would you want to live in make-believe? Today is much more fun than make-believe. I mean, really, it's way more fun than it is make-believe. But, laymen get scared of this stuff, which I can understand. I mean, there's lots of proof now. It's not like the old days when you couldn't prove anything. I mean, shit, our own government's out there screaming every day, what the hell's a yap? They know they're here. We know they're here. So it's just a different thing. It's the same thing we did when we went to Africa. It's the same thing we're going to do when we start colonizing other worlds. We're going to set up places and we're going to watch them before we go mess with them. It's the safest way of doing things. It makes total sense to me. It's the same thing we do. When we talk about abductees and contactees, they're doing nothing more than what we do to every damn animal on the planet. When we dart an elephant or a tiger, take it, probe it, do all kind of shit to it, and then take it somewhere and bring it back, it's the same thing. It's just the tiger can't tell you about it because he don't speak English or any other language for that matter other than tiger. So there's no really different thing. But people get scared. I can understand it. You don't want to know that maybe something's coming for you in the night or in the daytime. And by the way, whoever toasted that, no, abductions happen more in the day than they do at night. Yeah, they do. Well, actually, they can happen anytime. I'll tell you why they like afternoons and daytimes and all. They like when you're doing something mundane. In other words, when you do something you do every day, because they do these where they can wrap the memory. So let's say it's a drive, like I drive an hour every day back and forth to work. Perfect time to take me. It's a drive. Nothing's going to happen, or if something happens, they can put it in there. But yeah, perfect time to take me because I'm not, as long as they take one of those drives I've driven before, nothing, special, just an afternoon drive, I'll never notice it ever. Because they'll just loop the memory, and that's what I'll see. I won't see the contact. I'll just see the looped memory. So it makes it differently. Yeah, for some reason, ET triggers a lot of paranormal. I think I don't even know if it's real paranormal in the fact that They trigger so much energy. It's like poltergeist, right? I know there's lots of poltergeists a lot of times cooked up with alien visitation. I don't know if it's a true poltergeist in the form that it's a demon or something doing. I think it simply just might be the amount of energy. Like let's use a movie. What was it? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The girl's at her house, the ranch in the middle of the woods, and the little boy's running around. All his toys are going around. That's poltergeist activity. I mean, if you looked at that, if you didn't know there was an alien involved, you would think that's a demon or some kind of ghost or something. That's poltergeist. But with the aliens, I don't know if that's actually what it is. I think the aliens themselves just simply maybe triggering that energy, and that's what the outcome of the energy is, I think. Next, I don't know for sure. I'd like to know for sure, but I don't. I ask them lots of questions. Yes, Area 51. Shh. Yes. Area 51 with Mr. Bigelow. Shh. Top secret. Don't tell anybody. Yes, they'll come get you. Anyway, moving on. Yes, well, I seen it was at Marcus up there. I think they've already left, but that's a person who's scared. Don't want to learn. They're scared. Probably someone who believes in ghosts or demons or fairies or something else, which is probably aliens too. I guarantee you a lot of the little people stories from back in the day turn out to be aliens. I bet you a lot of the crazy stories from back in the day turn out to be aliens. It's like when people ask me where to start in research, I always tell them go way, way, way back in the past, way back, a couple of thousand years. The reason why is there are examples of things flying in the sky from about 3,000 years forward. Okay, nothing's flying in the sky until 200 years ago when whoever invented the hot air balloon. Before that, people, no humans were flying around. So if there was shit flying around in the sky besides birds, then yes, there was some type of alien existence on the planet. And what's funny about this is pre-Christian religions and pre-Christian civilizations talk about extraterrestrials a lot. Beings from other worlds. The Dogon talk about it, the Egyptians talk about it, Sumerians talk about it, the Mayans talk about it, the Toltecs talk about it, the Incans, the Aztecs, even American Indians talk about it. But after Christ, it seems to take a nosedive. Matter of fact, that's not the only thing. If you look in the pre-war cultures, they were all into reptilians until the time of Christ, and then the reptilians became the bad guys all of a sudden. They were everywhere in South America and Middle America and South America and Central America and the Middle East and North America with the Native and Indians. There was a lot of this where the reptilian was the bearer of life, not the evil thing. The human dog-headed or human whatever-headed was the evil thing. So what changed? Why did that change? Oh, I lost a job over that one, Christina. Yeah, I did. I was working for Mickey D's as a GM. Making big money. I don't know if y'all know, but Mickey D's pays their managers big money. We're talking like almost 37 years ago. I was making $200K a year plus bonus. And I got bonuses 4 times a year because I had a good store. A little girl asked me one day at work, and I should have thought about it because the people who owned that chain of McDonald's was very religious and adopted a lot of children and had their own retreats. And I said, well, yeah, it's possible that Jesus could have been an astronaut. Advanced somebody who came to our planet with advanced knowledge and advanced understanding and decided maybe if they tried to start one religion that it would unite the planet and they would be ready to join a galactic culture. It is a possibility. So for me, there's always been 3 possibilities. There has been, of course, that God created us on the planet with Jesus, that panspermia brought us here, or the aliens brought us here. Any one of the 3, take your best guess, but you can't rule out any of them. Even if you're religious, you can't rule out the other 2. It's not like you can't say, oh, well, God made an alien, sent him to Earth and gave us life. You can't say God didn't, because who are you to say God can't do something? I love that when people put limitations on. I eat that up. People tell me all the time, I said, are you limiting what the creator can do? Because when people tell me there's no life out in the universe, I said, really? So what you're telling me is the creator can only create life one time, so you're limiting the creator? I said, I bet you there's a big spot in hell for you. And because it's a true statement. How can you limit the creator? It created everything. Everything. So how could it not go visit other worlds? And if there wasn't no other humans, why didn't it just create some more? Especially if it was disappointed in this race. And I would guarantee you we're not even close to the first race it created. Personally, and this is a personal view, I think the universe itself is sentient. I really feel like that something created the universe, and the universe became sentient after a while because it's so massive and so full of so much life. And I think in a way it created the galaxies and in the aliens, different races, to find out, to figure out what's going on and stuff. So it just basically created a bunch of different aliens that all these little pieces break off, and each one is discovering a fact. Well, the universe, you're part of the universe. When you die, you go, well, all star stuff, we know that. So we go right back to where we came. It absorbs the information. It's just a theory, people. For anybody gets mad at me. What we got questions? Hold on. Well, me and Ghost have a problem. All right, you're going to get me in trouble, Marcus. I'm telling you. Okay, I got this thing about ghosts. I think that they're dimensional bleed through. Maybe not all ghosts, but a lot of ghosts I think are dimensional bleed through. Or just when the two dimensions veils are rubbing up against each other, sometimes you see something across. And the reason I say that is I've talked to a lot of people who have seen their parents after they died, but it's always some weird shit when they see them. Oh, my dad was wearing an orange shirt. He would have never wore that. Or his hair looked like it was blonde. My dad's hair was dark brown. Just weird shit, or his eyes were the wrong color. But it was their dad, and they talked just like their dad or their mom. But the problem was the person they were talking to wasn't dead. They were alive. Because you were in such a state of shock, when the veils touched, you just jumped into the body on the other side of the veil. So the person who was talking to you was your dad, just in another dimension. They weren't dead, though. They were alive. That's why I say dimensional bleed through. Oh, don't look, you better hope Michelle DeRoche didn't hear that. I'll never hear the end of that. I'm telling you. People hate when I talk about dimension because it's a hard theory to argue with. It just is. You can't disprove it. You can't prove it, but you can't disprove it either. So, yes, and it would explain a lot of different ghosts. Oh, yeah, it would. It would explain a lot of different ghosts. I got into this study because, and I got to be honest about this. When I first got into this 40 years ago, I thought everyone who said they seen an alien or ghost was a lunatic. I'm not even going to lie. I thought they all needed professional help. And then I couldn't figure out why people with big careers would just come up to me and start telling me about aliens. I'm like, they don't even know who the hell I am. I met doctors, lawyers, politicians. I met some really big people before I knew this was real, who just out of the blue would tell me they had contact. Because I had no idea that I had been being taken, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just thought, what the hell is this stuff? Sorry, I needed some more of in my cup coffee. Well, people make a lot of fantasies about a lot of things. They live in fantasies most of their lives. This person's going to come marry him and save him. They're going to go off and do this. They're going to go off and do that. Problem about abductions are they date back, well, since man could talk or write. So here to help people out. So there's a cave in Europe. It's about 55,000 years old. There are a big, they're just graphs on a cave. So what you first see is a bunch of deer out over a field, and then right above it are three silver triangle shapes. And then as it goes along, you see the three triangle shapes, and then you see what looks to be a beam or something coming down from two of the triangle things. And then all the deer, like 50 or 60 deer, just laid on the ground. And then in the next picture, they're gone, and it shows him out skinning and cleaning the deer. Okay, nothing's supposed to be flying in the sky 55,000 years ago, but here you've got a pictograph on a wall in a cave. Now, what's interesting about that, flash forward 50,000 years, there's one in Pueblos that dates back about 5,000 years. It's the same picture. The only thing it's different is there's buffalo instead of deer, but it's the same picture. That's evidence that's hard to get away from. And then there's the Dogon. Who knew about Sirius A, B, and C? We didn't even find Sirius B until somebody invented the radio telescope, which was in the 1900s. And they knew about Sirius B way back in 1840s when they were talking about it. Not just that, they knew about the circulatory system of humans. They actually performed surgery on people's skulls. This is a tribe living in Africa in the mountains, an offshoot of the Egyptians. But how did they do this? Better yet, they made their calendar based on 55.5 year. Well, Sirius B's orbit around Sirius A is 54.5 years. They also knew if you could take just a scoop off of the Sirius A, that it would fall straight through our planet. How did they know shit like that? There ain't even no reason for them to know stuff like that. What possible use could advanced knowledge of a star system be to them, unless they knew somebody from that system, which is what they said. But they even knew about Sirius C. Even after people were debunking them about Sirius B, Sirius C all of a sudden was found. And they couldn't debunk them anymore. They were like, shit. How does a African tribe know this? There is no explanation for this other than advanced visitation. It's not there. The Nazcan lines, the Nazcans themselves, the Toltecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs had advanced knowledges far beyond their wisdom. And, just earlier today, I was talking with a friend of mine about how many we had: the Toltecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incans, the most of the Mesoamericans, the Chinese, the Egyptians, and the people who lived at Angkor Wat all had advanced astronomy. Come on, the Egyptians got the precession of the planet down to 2%. It took us a buttload of equipment to find out that it was 2%. But yet they did it somehow without any computers at all. They actually could track the sky backwards. How the hell were they doing that? There's just things here that you can't answer, like electricity being discovered 2,500 years ago and then disappeared until recent times when Ben Franklin tried to blow himself up. Yeah, now that I actually know how electricity works, Ben Franklin was trying to blow himself up, dumbass. Lucky you didn't get killed. Let's tie a piece of metal onto a kite and see what happens. He's lucky to be alive. That's all I can say about that. Oh, yeah, well, that's a dumbass thing to do, really. But he didn't understand electricity like we do today. And then there's Tesla. There's just things that are out of sort with the world. And then there's O-parts. And if y'all don't know what O-parts is, it's out-of-place artifacts. That means parts that are found in places it's impossible for them to be found. The most recent one was a cog. A cog is a gear, basically, found in a coal bed that's 11 million years old. And it was found at the bottom of the coal bed. There's no way for it to have gotten there and not been compressed into the coal without being there before, when it was liquid, when it's magma, whatever it was. Yes, 11 million years. So did 11 million years ago somebody else advanced live here? See, that's a problem for humans. We're too skeptical for our own good. We never stop to think that other worlds may have visited this planet in the past when there was no one here. They may have came here when the dinosaurs were here. They may have came here in between. It may have been a great place to come. It might have been like a big galactic park at one time. We don't know because none of us were here. Then there's the Pravda cover stone. I love this one. This thing dates back 120 million years. It's a cover stone of an aerial view of a valley. Okay, an aerial view of a valley 120 million years ago. They've already proved the stone is real and everything's real about it. So they found this thing. They looked at it and they realized it was a resource map that showed a valley from a view above. And at least, they estimated at least a couple of thousand feet above the valley to be able to see because it was a huge valley, to be able to see the entire valley. So they could see all their resources and where they were hidden. So this map was made for somebody who was looking at the valley from above. Who the hell was doing that 120 million years ago? I want to know who the hell it was. And why we want to talk about it. See, that's the problem with out-of-place artifacts. Scientists never want to talk about them because there is no explanation for them at all. It's like the guy who took grape juice and and created electricity to do gold plating 2,500 years ago. Really? Okay. Who told you that? Might have just been an idea. Yeah. Maybe they seen something else that gave them the idea. But the problem with all of these things there's no conventional explanation for them. You mean the battery? There was two batteries found. There was one found in a geo. The one found in a geo, by the way, was a hoax. And then there was another one found inside of, not a geo, just inside of a rock itself, but that one wasn't a hoax. Yeah. You know what? They weren't lithium. They were, whatever you call them, cell batteries. Two of them looked just like the big D batteries, the old ones we shoved in everything in the old days. They look like those. It's almost like some of this stuff, you know what, Marcus, it could be. Somehow or another, some of this stuff could have been time traveled back in our past. I mean, we talk about the Bermuda Triangle and Devil's Jaw all the time. Could they be portals? Maybe they are. speaking of that on a side note, on an interesting note, did y'all know there are places on Earth that you can defy gravity on? That things will roll uphill and stuff? Did y'all know that? There's 2 in Canada alone, 1 in the United States. Mm-hmm. There's one place, I think it's in Australia, that you can actually feel yourself wanting to lift up off the ground. Yeah, so gravity don't always act the same all the way across our entire planet. I know it's interesting stuff. I'm a science geek. What can I say? And there's nothing good with a good horror film or a good science sci-fi, Marcus. And I agree, some people do take it to the extreme. That's why ICAR has abduction criteria, because a lot of people like to lie. And a lot of people are needy. You know, I used to not like to do hypnosis, and I still am not a big fan of using it all the time. I do use it because it comes in handy with some people, but we're so strict about the way we use it. And you can't ask any upfront questions. So I'd come in and say, all right, and I'd put Stone under, and I would say, Stone, tell me what happened on March 25th at 8 p.m. on whatever year. And then I'd let you tell me forward, and then I'd ask you to tell me backwards. Then we'd stop everything, take all the video, all the audio, get you on a hypnosis. We'd sit down and listen to everything, and then we'd formulate a line of question based on what you had said in that interview. If there were strange beings seen or strange craft seen or whatever, we'd set up the line of questions on it, because I can't say, hey, Stone, did you see an alien? No, I can say, what can you describe what it is that you're looking at? Is this a person, a being, or what is it? Can you tell me what it is? Can you describe it? That's what I want. And I want you to describe it to me. I don't want to describe it to you. Same thing with the ships or anything else for that matter. Because if you're truly a contactee, you'll know it. You'll talk about it, you'll see it, and it'll flow right out of you. But in all fairness, Laura Lee. Huh? Oh, Laura Lee. We got a host named Laura Lee. Oh, I pronounced it wrong? It just looks like the way my host spells her name, and we call her Laura Lee. Okay, so you... I'm just going to leave that alone. Laura Lie. I see you made the big I. I got you. No, that's fine. Aliens love you all. Mm-hmm. As far as we know. No, Joe Biden is not an alien. That moron. Give me a break. I'm not even sure if he's sentient human. He might be one of them dumbass humans from the past. I don't know what happened to him. He used to be brighter than that. Mm-hmm. I've never disliked Joe Biden. I really had never paid that much attention to him. As president, I don't have a choice because he's just screwing my country up. But I'm not blaming it all on him by the way either. So there's other things involved here. No, hypnosis works. I mean, it's a good thing. It's just you got to be strict. So if I agree to hypnotize somebody, first off, they've got to have somebody with them that they trust. I'll have somebody here with me. Or if I'm on location, I'll have somebody there with me. Then on top of that, I will be running a audio. And I also ask that you bring your own tape recorder, mainly audio, so you can run your own audio file. We want that as a backup. I'll have the video running. These days, now that we have StreamYard, we'll have it running as well. So we'll have 2 video backups. And we'll have the voice stress meter running in the background. So you'll see a computer here, computer there, and then there'll be a voice stress meter there. So as you're talking or going through this, I can watch the meter, because the meter will help me also to direct the questioning. So in other words, if you're telling me, oh, Joe, I've seen this and that and everything, and that meter's doing this, your ass is lying to me. Okay. Even under hypnosis, there's going to be spiking in the meter because you're going to be reliving it. Unless I take that away, unless I go in and take the fear away or the exhilaration away, it'll still be there even under hypnosis. So you're going to see that, the meters show you that. So that helps you to figure out where to go next with the question or how to ask the next question. Stone, don't make me beam you up, chick. I'm talking to somebody in the chat. Well, we got like 3 different groups of chats going on tonight, so it's a little confusing. Look, people, I can tell you this. Just because you think you've been abducted doesn't mean you are. If I was getting ready to say this a minute ago, so in first case abduction cases, when under hypnosis, about 35, maybe 40% turn out to be contactees or abductees. The other 60% are not. They turn out to be a lot of different things. Some of them are child abuse or child molestation. Some of them are other things that have happened in your life. A lot of times it's a trauma, whatever the trauma is, that you just don't want to relive. So you turn it into an alien abduction. So, I always wonder what kind of trauma that you feel like you need to become an alien abductee to hide that trauma from yourself. There's some pretty horrific ones. And I'm not a psychologist. So all I can tell a person is you need to see a psychologist. That's our professional advice, is that you see a psychologist. If you don't turn out to be an abductee and you've got this going on in your head, because once it's out, it's out. And it's another thing we tell you. Remember, once I hypnotize you and release this, it's out. There is no putting the genie back in a bottle, my friend. It's out. You got to deal with it. So you've got to be damn sure you're ready to deal with whatever comes out of your head. And it could be, like I just said, a lot of different things. So you have to be emotionally and stable to deal with this. If you're not, it's going to wreck your life. And again, I'm not a psychologist. I can be a good friend, but I'm not a psychologist. Don't want to even be a psychologist. Oh no. I deal with enough crazy people without being a damn psychologist. I don't want to be one. But you have to be emotionally and physically prepared for this. And a good hypnosis session can run anywhere from 2 or 3 hours to 10, 15 hours, depending on what's going on. We'll break them up sometimes. When I know the longest set I think I did was with Frenchie, which was 4 hours a day for 10 days. So it's 40 hours of regression. Yes, it was a lot. And a lot of weird shit happened doing that. We're pretty sure at least twice we got taken. There was some other stuff that went on. It was a very intense. It was very intense. Well, when you get into this kind of stuff, it is. Well, to date, probably 300 or 400 people. Yeah, in the old days, but like during COVID, I was doing like a regression every other day. Yeah, well, people were stuck at home, and it was a good time to get them out of the way. But again, it doesn't always turn out to be that. Contactees, when you're regressing a contactee, you know pretty much that they are the contactee. You're just looking for the different information of what's going on with them and why they're being taken and stuff like that. Abductees, it's different. You just don't know if they're going to turn out to be, abductees or contactees. Well, abductees, I'm sorry, not contactees. Contactees know they're being taken. That's the difference between an abductee and a contactee, is one knows, one doesn't. Abductees really don't know they're being taken. They suspect sometimes, but they don't know. Contactees know they've been taken. Yeah, and they're dealing with it. But we got to get out of here pretty soon. So one last question. Who we got? So we got a bunch of damn messengers flying by. Teresa, where are you from, Teresa? Teresa, where are you from? Scotland. No, thank God you're not on the damn mic. I'm just teasing. Don't get mad at me. Yeah, because half the Scottish people I interview, I have no idea what they're saying. It's probably like listening to me, because I got a damn coon-ass accent. So, yeah, it's probably kind of the same thing. They're like, I'm like, what? Joe. What was the other part? No, I understood the Joe part. Oh, man, I'm sorry. That was bad, Joe. I ain't gonna be able to answer. We're gonna be out of time. Damn. Well, we'll get it on the next one. Well, actually, pretty soon we're gonna be switching every other week. So what's gonna happen, real quick, is we're still working with Writers of the Future, but we'll be wrapping up with Writers of the Future over the next 4 weeks, or next 6 weeks. So, but we're gonna be starting every other week. We'll be doing abduction stuff. We got a couple of shows where I'm just gonna be talking about different cases and different things, like I did tonight, but I'll just get a little more in depth, and then we'll start bringing guests back on. Well, it's so hard to get guests that you want to. Okay, if I was a newbie, be all kind of people I want to interview. But frankly, I'm not interested in ufologists. They bore me, and they really don't know near as much as I do, so it's a waste of time. I'm more interested in abductees and contactees, and I think that's what I'm going to stick to for the next year or two. What's going on? I think, weren't you on Michelle's show? I thought I heard you on Michelle's show or something. Yeah, you see, just the fact that there's a white gray, there's a part that some of them are white, some of them are gray, some of them are another color, it tells me at least you're not lying to me. Well, I can help you with the terrorist. That can be dealt with. Yeah, that can be dealt with. That can be put away and put to useful means, actually. We can turn that into useful energy for other things, for gathering information. Matter of fact, you can use, because everybody gets downloads. Regular contactees get downloads, depending on what age you're and what you're doing. They vary from different times, but we can use those to get rid of those things. Well, you see, bloodlines make a difference. They abduct in family lines, and whoever answered me this question earlier, no, your family line doesn't have to be like a Sinclair or any of the famous lines. They abduct in lines because eventually all of those lines will become something special. But right now they're just abducting to the point where they're to wherever they're trying to get to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Oh man, New Zealand, I can move down there, girl. You live in the best place on the freaking planet. You don't even have snakes or spiders. Come the hell on. You got aliens and giant squids and white sharks, but you ain't got any snakes or spiders. Man, everybody knows that New Zealand loves it. I got a friend who owns a horse ranch down there. She's in love with the place. She's an ex-American. Yeah, she says that, not me. I'm an ex-American. I love New Zealand. I said, you fucking Kiwi. Ooh, did I say that out loud? Beep, beep. Sorry. I got a couple of friends down there. I really did. They all love it down there. But we got to go, Stone. Anytime you want to stop by. We'll have to talk sometime. Guys and girls, we got to get out of here because Michelle's right up on the time, and I wanted to talk to her if she went live. So on that note, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I will be changing the title so y'all know what it actually is. And I hope to see you on a regular basis again. And feel free to come into any of the chat rooms and hang out with us. On that note, good night, and stay tuned for the Outer Realm with the Fabulosio, Michelle DeRoche, and Emilia Passanio. Good night, everybody.